About that, and we can show you where Lee is right now. There it is. I mean, it looks pretty good here on satellite, so we know this is only going to strengthen. And as Jim was talking about, you know, we have this high pressure over it. Well, right at the surface, down by the ocean, you have a low pressure. Low pressure, everything comes up and it wants to evacuate out in order to strengthen. What the high pressure does on top of it is it evacuates everything out on the top of it. And so when you have that structure, that's why you're going to see, or one of the reasons that you are going to see this strengthen as we head over time. But it's not only this high pressure that's sitting over it that's helping evacuate everything off the top so it can keep growing up. It's also the warm water that it's going over. We don't really have shear associated with it. GFS taking it north of the islands, but we'll see the waves this weekend. Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, places like that. Bermuda, as we head into our Thursday, we will see the effects from this. That's the GFS. Then we have the Euro, kind of the same path, but maybe a little bit farther to the west of Bermuda, and everywhere along the East Coast, we're going to feel the effects of this, at least in the form of waves and rip current. High pressure, clockwise flow around that. The question is, does it go closer to Bermuda? Does it go closer to the East Coast? It's going to get squeezed between this high and this trough that we have, and so we're going to see exactly where that path, you know, ends up as we head into next week. Now, if you live in New England, I keep a very close eye on this. Can't rule out it's scraping the Cape at this point, but it is going to make that turn around the periphery of the high pressure, and it looks like that will happen here before it gets to the Bahamas. So there's nothing really showing us that it's going to go into the southeast. That just doesn't look like it's something that's going to happen right now. But we are going to see these waves propagating out from the south into the southeast. So that means rip currents are going to be an issue if you are headed to the beach this weekend, from the Florida beaches all the way up to the Jersey Shore and into New England as well. So that will be a major component. If we look at September, this is a time we've had a lot of Category 5 hurricanes. Right now, Lee is forecast to be a high-end Category 4, like 155. A Cat 5 is 157. It's neither here nor there. It's going to be an extremely strong storm, taking a similar path to some of our storms that we've seen, but we do think it's going to take that turn north. And Jordan, look at how many recent Cat 5s we've had in the Atlantic.
2017, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2022. Yeah, it is. All right, let's get you guys.
Good morning, Philadelphia. From all of us here at America's Morning headquarters, you are heading into the mid-90s on this Thursday, the 7th of September, but your temperature will feel like a sticky, sweaty 102. Hang tight, though. Cool down is coming this weekend. By this time next week, a very refreshing change. And some of the Northeast could see highs only in the 60s. It's pretty wild out there, but a closer look at Philadelphia today. Schools dismissing actually early today and tomorrow because of the 90-degree heat. Of course, it's going to feel hotter than that. And this is the temperature in the shade. Average high 82. We're going to get closer to that and a cool off, relatively speaking, as we head into the weekend and into the beginning of next week. But it's not just Philadelphia. Millions under heat advisories, Jim, in the south and in the Northeast.
Yeah, and you know, this is not what you think.
You can add out there and be like, it's for the planet.
I
Sorry.
always feel like it's super rude when you don't turn your camera on.
I know. I'm like, what are they doing? Just flip it on.
Seriously. I mean, maybe I don't want to see what you're doing, but I do think it's rude when you don't turn it on.
At least turn it off to like say hi, and then you can flip it off. Are you okay with that?
No, you should leave it on because you're having a conversation with someone, you know, you're talking to them.
Okay,
and it's a meeting, then come into the office. Like if you're in the office.
Are you talking about one-on-one or like a group setting?
A group meeting.
Okay.
Even one-on-one, I just think it's
one-on-one,
rude.
keep it on. I get that.
Why do you think in a group it's okay then to turn it off?
Well, because let's say you're in a group and you're like listening to a speaker and you're part of a group. I don't need it on if I'm just listening.
You should listen. If you go to a speaker in real life, you're listening. You're not like, you know, snoozing or doing something.
Some people
right?
listen with their eyes shut. Okay. My old stepdad, he used to watch movies with his eyes shut all the time. He said, no, I'm just listening.
Sleepwatching. That's what I call it. That's what Omar does that too. And oddly, he really does actually know what's going on half the time.
That's fascinating.
All right. It looks like there's no escaping microplastics, even at sea. Scientists have discovered that the oceans release microplastics into the atmosphere after analyzing data.
Are so disgusting every time we show them. Like, no one wants our beaches to look like that.
No,
and it's hard.
Or the lakes or the rivers. I mean, think of all the rivers around the world that have so much.
So now you've got this, let's say, bottle that's been broken down into little chunks, and then it's broken down even more. So you have these microparticles that are floating in the ocean. And so what you're saying is the wave crashes, you have that mist, it's now going in the air.
You know what I
which
just
then
thought about though when you said that? You know how we have sand on beaches and everything? You know that's all erosion, like starts as big rocks and everything is erosion and it ends up.
That's exactly right.
So that's a good analogy that you could think about is if you have this big glass bottle and it's going to break down to these tiny, tiny particles of sand or even smaller.
Right, and that's what plastic's doing too.
There's more stars than there are particles of sand on the planet.
That's true. Just don't want to see the plastic on our beaches.
Yeah.
All right, well, during the hot summer months, we talk a lot about the urban heat island,
sure
right?
do.
You remember that term? Part of that problem can be attributed to large asphalt parking lots. The Parking Reform Network, it's a thing. They took a look at 80 cities across the country and found some, and you park underground. So you'd have to do some boring and some drilling underground, but then you got your spaces on the ground instead of on top where the sun bakes it and causes
There's also in New York City, I wonder if they can expand it. They have like these lifts where, you know, you pull your car and they go, and it goes up and then you can like stack all the different cars and everything.
What is that lift made of? Concrete. Right?
Okay, well, maybe
so then you
make
add
it out
to
of
the
different
heat.
Material. I mean, if you
like
dig all underground, that can't be great if you just totally take
I don't know. This is just an idea.
I like it.
It might work. Depends how deep you go. What if you go really deep? I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
You'd end up on the other side of the world.
Exactly. Right? No one wants a chemical facility in their backyard.
Absolutely.
The pattern. Today is International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies, a holiday that highlights the importance of clean air for a healthy lifestyle. This year's theme is Together for Clean Air. It's a luxury that some of us may take for granted. For almost a century, a chemical plant has been emitting the byproducts of toxic chemicals into a heavily populated neighborhood in northeastern D.C.
But here's the real shocker. The plant has been operating without pollution permits for just as long. That means the plant has been releasing volatile, cancer-causing chemicals into the air with no federal regulation. Ivy City residents, along with an organization called Empower DC, are working together to help their community breathe easier by calling for the chemical plant to be shut down immediately. Sabrina Rhodes is the community organizer for Empower DC and is joining us today. Sabrina, thanks for talking to us about this. How has the emission of these harsh chemicals impacted the neighborhood? So has the company done anything to try to cut back or limit the amount of toxins they're emitting since the community called for the shutdown, or has the government said, oh, maybe it's time we,
do something?
Yeah.
Well, we're waiting on it.
We hope for some resolution for you soon.
We do.
Thank
Really
you.
do.
Thank you.
Organizer Sabrina Rhodes with Empower DC, thank you so much for your time and the fight, because we know how hard this can be.
For more stories like this, make sure you guys check out
the rest of the afternoon and evening. That's coming up next. So if you're in that area, stick around.
Thank you.
Thanks, Felicia.
All right, well, solar power having a major boom right now, which means we need to find a solution for
And welcome back to Pattern. Glowing news for solar power. Solar panels are being installed faster than ever before, with their usage growing 22% last year. That's according to the Energy Information Administration.
Here's the downside, though. Those panels only last about 25 to 30 years, and then they're sent to landfills. Experts believe solar waste could total 78 million tons globally by the year 2050. And that's why a company in Arizona is coming up with this solution. Here's what I want to know. I know the price of solar panels can get, pretty pricey.
Yeah.
Depending, they're very helpful. But is there some kind of like used market out there?
Of the panels.
Of the panels.
Yeah.
So you could get it to people who make less money, but they really want to help out, and they're like, I can't spend however much they are, 10, 20 grand. I can't remember. I got a price years ago, but it can be a pretty penny. But this way there'd be an aftermarket.
It stuck with me when he said, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So you can pull out, things. And that's what we need to be doing, I think, with more and more materials.
Right. That's why I'm a big fan of garage sales. You always find
Let's look at
treasure.
Garage sale weather with Felicia.
Okay.
Where is there going to be nice weather for garage sailing?
Maybe by Sunday across the Northeast. It's still a little too. Isn't that when they normally have them on the weekends?
Yeah, weekends.
Oh yeah, early too. You gotta go early.
Get out there early. You don't want to get out there right now. We've got some severe thunderstorms after record-breaking heat yesterday. So a lot going on out there, whether you're getting the heat or the storms.
But cooling this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah,
for garage sailing.
That's the main thing.
Never heard of it. Now I'm gonna. What are you doing this weekend? I'm sailing. Really? Garage sailing. That's right.
Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Pattern. This week's heat is